Hello again, everybody. It's Todd Sturridge, the horror nerd, here at New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. It's the last day of the convention. Things are winding down a little bit, but this place, I gotta say, is still jumping. People have been out here all weekend to see their favorite TV and film stars. I have been having a blast, and it is about to get even better because I'm standing here with one of the stars of one of my absolute favorite 80s films, Better Off Dead, Mr. Curtis Armstrong. Curtis,
Hey,
how are you?
How are you, Todd?
I am doing great. And I wasn't kidding about that. I have such a fondness for that movie.
I do too.
And everybody in it. I know you're here really part of the Revenge of the Nerds reunion.
Yeah, but I always have Better Off Dead stuff because, I love that movie. I like doing it and have also fond memories of it. And because I know from talking to people over many years, it's just grown in popularity. So now, from my standpoint, it's just like Nerds. It's almost as popular.
Sure. What do you think it is about not just Better Off Dead, but Revenge of the Nerds, and that makes them stand the test of time the way they have?
You got me. I have no idea. I mean, it's hard for me to look at it objectively, but people respond. In the case of Nerds, they were responding, they continue to respond the way that the filmmakers intended, which is, is sort of an uplifting story for a few kinks in it that have not stood the test of time, but it still is, the nerds triumphing, and that's what they sort of said, is you find your community and fight for each other. And so it still lasts to that degree, and it never goes away. People respond to it. It's amazing. Better Off Dead is more, it doesn't have the same sort of emotional kick, but it's so brilliant and weird, and there was nothing like it out there at the time. And I think people are delighted to see that. John Cusack is always fun to watch, but this is a really unusual picture, and people love it.
Yeah, and I have been very fortunate in life and now, I had you sign my Better Off Dead poster the other day, and that was like, okay, I have the final crown jewel that I wanted, because I've met a lot of the cast over the years, which is a thrill for me, and, especially Diane, who is so, does a lot of shows and is so fan-friendly.
Right.
And my 80s crush, like I told you. So, and like I told you, and I wasn't kidding, and I wanted to say it on camera, I just hope you realize, like, the joy that you brought to people over the years through these movies.
Thank you. I get that, and I appreciate that. I really do.
I am going to go out on a limb and guess that you get recognized a lot, like
all the
on
time.
The street, right?
Yes.
How is that? Like, you ever stop and think about that? Like, wow, people recognize me on the street because of my work.
No. Yeah, I've come to accept it as, and as part of what, comes from something like this. But, it really depends on how I'm, accosted.
I'm sure. I get it.
In some cases, it's, just lovely, and sometimes it gets a little, bothersome. Not often. Most of the time, people are really sweet and appreciative, and I love that. But from the standpoint of, wow, people recognize me, that's been going on since the mid-'80s, so it's no longer a surprise.
Fair enough. What are you up to these days? Any new projects you're working on that you can share with us?
I've got a movie that's in post-production called The Dead Guy, and so that's one thing. And then just finished an audio film, which is still in the works. It's a strange concept, and 3 animated series, including American Dad, but also Monsters at Work and Monsters at Work and Max and the Midnights. And then I've been doing a series of Audible podcasts, dramatic podcasts about Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, wow.
Called Moriarty, which is an
love it.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of that.
Oh, nice. That one intrigues me. I'm going to have to check it out. I love villains. The villains are always my favorite.
Yeah, it's it's on Audible.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Fair enough. One final question, Curtis, and then I'll leave you be. I love asking this because I'm always fascinated by the answer. If there's a piece of advice you could give to a young up-and-coming actor or actress wanting to come up in the business, what piece of advice would you give them?
I wish I could. I don't have any idea. I mean, when I started, it was a totally different world, a totally different set of rules. I was very fortunate. I started off as a stage actor in Actors Equity in the union, and then went to SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild, and as a result, I have worked through the years for a pension, and that's getting cut back all the time now. I think it's getting harder and harder for people to make a living at it. But I think if they decide that it's something they want to do, it's something that they've got to stick to, because chances are it's not going to be sudden. There's no such thing as an overnight sensation.
Fair enough. See, you thought you didn't have any advice, but you really did.
Well, it wasn't great advice, but
But it's real, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I ever want is, like, I'm always fascinated by it, and I love the honesty.
Yeah.
Curtis, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time. I truly appreciate it. Wish you success with all those projects, and have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Curtis Armstrong, everybody, here at New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. Todd Stewart, the Horror Nerd, signing off. We'll see all of you in the next interview.